Welcome, Window to China and Xinyu One. I'm pleased and honored to have Mason District Supervisor Penny Gross on the show. Penny Gross also is Vice Chairman of Fairfax County Board of Supervisors. Would you like to tell us more about yourself?
Well, I've been on the Board of Supervisors. I was first elected in 1995, and I am now running for re-election for my 6th term. It's been an enormous privilege to serve the people of Mason District and Fairfax County, but it's also a lot of work. Campaigning is fun, but governance is hard.
Oh yeah, I know that. So people seem to demand more and more, a lot of things to really care about.
Well, back in 1995, the county hired a contractor at KPMG to look at what we might do to reduce the burden on our tax-paying citizens. And the KPMG results indicated that the way we could save money was to lower the expectations of our constituents. Of course, that died really fast because you don't tell somebody, oh, you need to lower your expectations so that we can save money. I had just been elected to the board when that survey came out, and what we have tried to do is balance. It's not a matter of lowering, it's a matter of over the years things change, demands change. 20 years ago we didn't have as many senior citizens as we have now, and so while we're looking at our children and our schools, we also know that our senior citizen population is growing. So how do we make those changes to serve this population over here while continuing to serve this population over here? That's really a large part of what we have to do at the Board of Supervisors is balance.
I totally agree, because like school kids, and then they need help, and then aging community,
That's right.
Become more and more bigger, and the other immigrants population get growing. So a lot of things you have to consider. So I know you have done a lot of work, especially transportation, the civil lines, everything. What have you achieved during your term? Can you tell us in general how many things you have achieved?
There are so many things. You mentioned the Silver Line. Actually, the Silver Line doesn't come anywhere close to Mason District. It's all out in other parts of the county. But a lot of people who live in Mason District work in the Tysons area. And so the Silver Line will help them in some of their work that they have to do. Maybe they won't have to go into town by driving, but they can actually take the Silver Line. I was on the Silver Line the other day, took a delegation of elected officials from all over the country, and we started at Foggy Bottom in Washington, D.C., and rode all the way out to Wheelie Avenue. They thought it was fabulous. They were so excited about seeing this brand new transportation entity, but also they loved the idea that they could get off at Tyson's Corner and go shop. And I'm happy to do that, because if they want to spend their money here, we get their sales taxes, and that's good. But in Mason District, we've done so much in revitalization, in getting rid of old, underperforming properties and redeveloping them into something that's much better serving for the community. We also, from our county facilities, built 3 new schools just in the last few years. We've renovated all 3 of our libraries, including the Woodrow Wilson Library, which just recently reopened. We've added, in my tenure, I've added more than 200 acres of parkland just in Mason District, which is very densely populated. So finding those pieces is really important. And then we've done, there's a new fire station number 10. The fire station 18 is on the bond to be renovated and expanded, because it was built back when we had smaller fire apparatus. Now the fire trucks are so big, they can't fit into the garage. And so we have to expand those, give it better living arrangements for our 24-hour on-duty firefighters. We've done an awful lot in reinvesting public dollars in the community. We need the reinvestment of the private industry at the same time.
Wow, it's amazing. I mean, Fairfax County government provide many services, include place, fare station, libraries for books and research, and other things, transportation, then health issue, health clinic. everything. Based on your website, and the Mason District just had the budget meeting. So can you tell us a little bit more about the fiscal year 2016 budget proposal on the school transfer?
Sure. Well, for the school transfer and a whole lot of other things, for the 19th year in a row, I hosted an annual budget town meeting with the county executive who proposed the budget, and the citizens get to hear up close and personal from the county executive why he did what he did in the budget, and then we get to do a Q&A, a question and answer period afterwards. And this one was pretty lively because there are a lot of issues right now, because schools want more than is proposed. There's a gap of about $14 million in that. And then there are a lot of other services that are proposed to be cut and that people don't want cut. At the budget town meeting, we had a lot of advocates for the Annandale Adult Day Health Center. This is going back to our previous discussion about senior citizens. This is a program that serves senior citizens. It's a day program for very fragile elderly people. They pay a sliding scale daily to attend the Annandale Adult Day Health Center. It's very well loved, and the people who go there and are served there they really like it. They're very comfortable there. So one of my challenges is how do we continue to fund that? There's been a suggestion that it be that any closure be delayed for a year for an opportunity to do a little more advertising, get more folks there. But going back to the schools, Mason District has a lot of schools that are at capacity, and also we have schools that have students with really special needs. You mentioned earlier that we have a lot of a very diverse community, a lot of new immigrants coming to this country, and their first stop is Mason District. We have a lot of housing, apartment complexes and so forth, and so people come here as their first stop on their road to success. And so those students who are coming into our schools now often do not have the language capability. They may be able to speak their own language, but they may not actually be literate in their own language. And so we need to do some remediation, and that costs additional money. Those are the special programs that we need to be able to fund. And so trying to find that balance between what we can afford and what is needed. And we also have to advocate, and I do this as president of the Virginia Association of Counties this year, we advocate at the state level for the Commonwealth of Virginia to do what they're supposed to do in providing funding for our schools. They do not provide the funding that is required. And so we and all counties go after the state saying, you need to support schools the way the Constitution says you must support schools, and stop cutting the funding to local school systems. So we had a little success this last General Assembly session because the state did provide a little bit more, about $13 million more to Fairfax County for several programs. So that helps lessen the gap between what the schools have asked for and what we're able to provide.
Window to China and the Xinyu One has reached out to the hundreds of Chinese community, Asian community, and American community on performance, interview in education, politics, culture, etc. It's a link for all the communities. Xinyu and Judy Wu, the publisher AC Business News, are making joint efforts to promote the program on Newspaper Weekly. Window to China and Xinyu One is a 30 minutes long English program. It will be available on YouTube, Facebook, Google+, AC Business News by keywords Window to China and Xinyu One.
Education is a basic need, it's a basic right, it's a basic responsibility of the Commonwealth and of the localities. But if we don't get the kind of funding from the Commonwealth, like they do in Maryland, the Maryland education system gets a lot of funding from the Maryland state, and if we could get that, we would be in much better shape.
Yeah, I know a lot of things. You see the new buildings, like you said, in Mason District. They have the new buildings, the immigrants populations growing, but they need other facilities like libraries, transportation, like you said, school transfers. They all need along with them, so all need money.
Yes.
So Woodrow Wilson Library just, had the reopening ceremony. I met you there.
Yes.
I mean, this building seems to have more capacity than before. Then how is this building innovated?
Well,
it's like brand new.
It's interesting because Woodrow Wilson Library was originally built in the 60s, and then there was an addition, I think, in the 70s. And what was done this time was actually only about 2,500 square feet was actually added. But they tore down one section, kept the original section, tore down another section, and rebuilt the library to a much more efficient status. There are 24 computers in the library. There are a whole bunch of personal study stations. There are a couple of wonderful quiet study rooms, a small conference room, and a much larger community room. One of the things about Woodrow Wilson Library that is so exciting is that it is a community center in its own right. It doesn't have a gym, doesn't have a pool, but it has so much to offer the children. Of course, it's right next door to Bailey's Elementary School, and so the children will walk past the library on their way home. They will stop in the library on their way home. And the community really loves that library. It was heavily, heavily used. We were so sad that we weren't able to provide so much space when we had a temporary location. We needed to provide the library services, but we couldn't do all the community things. So now, with the reopening of the Woodrow Wilson Library, we've got another, a facility to serve the community for another 40 years that will just be fabulous. It's so well located with a school, with the turf field, with the little Bailey's Park behind it, and now the newly renovated library. It's a really wonderful look at the kinds of things that the county provides, all in one space.
Wow.
It's really terrific. And as you may have noticed, when we did the grand opening, there were people of all demographics, all ages. You had little tiny kids, and you had senior citizens.
It's so packed.
You had every nationality there. Everybody was just so excited about the new library. The children all raced to the computers. I always thought that was funny. But there's a wonderful children's area over by the back wall, and now that's all glass. So there's a lot of natural light. It's LEED certified. There's just so much to be excited about with the new Woodrow Wilson Library. It was a long time in coming, but we were able to accelerate some of the design because other library projects in other districts came in under budget. And so we had money left over to be able to do the design. The library bond that the voters pass helps provide funding for our library renovations. And then we try to be very, very efficient. A lot of things were reused in the library. And so, and by using pretty much the same footprint, you didn't have to do a whole lot of excavation. So it came in on time and at budget. And it is just, it's a fabulous place. When you look at all the recycled materials that are used, the new HVAC systems, they actually are triggered by the number of people in an area. So the day of the opening, we had a lot of people in the library. So the HVAC systems had to adjust. If you have fewer people, and not as much body heat, then the HVAC system adjusts. It has zoned systems all over the library and in the community room. And after hours, if the community room is being used, only that area of the zone will operate. The rest of it will be closed down. Wow. And there'll be energy efficiencies in the library all the time.
Wow, that's amazing. Except for Woodrow Wilson buildings, what other planning or constructive activities in Mason District?
Well, we are looking at building an East County Human Services Center. We are in rental space right now. The county's in rental space for the East County Region 2 Human Services Center. What we want to do is to be able to have our own building. This would be a building that has a lot of human services. People who are seeking self-sufficiency, food stamps, the SNAP program, a health clinic, a number of services, skill source. All of these need to be in a central location. And so we are looking at proposed sites for that particular building. That is a little ways away because we don't have the funding for it yet, but it is in the capital improvement program, and it has been for several years. So now we're getting to the point where it's more real. I mentioned the Jefferson Fire Station, which is right at Route 50 and Annandale Road. No, I'm sorry, at Graham Road, I think it is. That one is on the list to be renovated. And then there are, I'd still like to get Providence Rec Center renovated. Providence Rec Center is now in Mason District due to redistricting, and it needs to be upgraded. So that will be something that the Park Authority will have to, we'll have to work with them on that. But we also have the traffic division, the police traffic division is in the Old Pine Ridge School in Mason District. That is also on the capital improvement program to be renovated and brought up to standards. When you repurpose a building like an old school, it works, but it's not as efficient as it could be. So you put it on the list to see where we're going to get efficiencies. Then there are some other things that need to be attended to. Falls Church High School, which is also in Mason District now, I picked that up in redistricting also, really needs to be renovated. So we're looking at how Falls Church High School can move up in the queue and get at least some planning money in a forthcoming bond to be able to start that process of the renovations. The other schools have been renovated. Jeb Stuart High School had a rolling renovation several years ago. Annandale High School had a rolling renovation. Thomas Jefferson High School, which is also in my district, is just completing a fabulous renovation. So Falls Church needs to be in that queue.
So you get a lot of work on your list. So well, you must get re-elected.
This is all about the governance piece. This is the job. The campaign can be fun, but the campaign is short. And so once you win, then you really have to do the governance. And so what I'm doing is I'm a supervisor. I'm also running for re-election, but I have to govern at the same time that I'm campaigning. And these kinds of issues, public facilities, human needs, what people need, their everyday aggravations of life. They call my office to get help. These are things that we do every day. That is the meat of what we do at the Board of Supervisors is constituent service. Yes, we do govern, we do approve the budget, and we do set policies, but an awful lot of it is just people work about what individual people need, their particular issue, whether it be stormwater, or it's a bus transportation issue, or it can be just about anything. It even goes to, I've got a dead cat in my yard, what are you going to do about it? Well, I went over and picked up the dead cat and took it to the dumpster. Those are the things, it's people-to-people work.
Window to China and Xinyu One has reached out to the hundreds of Chinese community, Asian community, and American community on performance, interview in education, politics, culture, etc. It's a link for all the communities. Xinyu and Judy Wu, the publisher AC Business News, are making joint efforts to promote the program on Newspaper Weekly. Window to China and Xinyu One is a 30 minutes long English program. It will be available on YouTube, Facebook, Google+, AC Business News by keywords Window to China and Xinyu One. Fairfax County 2015 schedule already posted on your website.
Yes, that's right.
Also, multiple culture performance is going to come out every year, right? Start which year?
The free concerts in the park started in about 1991. I am a founding member of the Friends of Mason District Park, so I've been involved in the free concerts long before I ever got elected. But the first real program that I have in my scrapbook is from 1991, and it was a few concerts. Now at Mason District Park with our wonderful amphitheater, we do concerts 3 nights a week, and then we have a children's concert on Saturday morning. So we do 4 concerts every week during the summertime. Then when Ossian Hall came along, and of course I picked up Ossian Hall in redistricting, there was already an international music there in the evenings, and we now do it on every Saturday night in the summertime. That program won a National Arts Award. I was very proud to be able to receive that award at the National Association of Counties a few years ago, because it is focused on diversity, focused on culture. And each Saturday night there will be a different culture. It may be Peruvian, it may be Bolivian, it may be Chinese, it may be Vietnamese, it may be Eastern European polkas. It's a wonderful opportunity for cultures to be seen by the general public. Music, dance, costumes, everybody enjoys it. And it's all free.
Yeah.
It takes an hour. It's close to home. Parking is free. At Ossian Hall, you bring your lawn chair. At Mason District Park, we have benches. It's a wonderful evening for the family at absolutely no cost. Absolutely no cost, because all of the money for the concerts that pays the performers is raised privately.
Wow, that's kind of volunteers in the community getting involved in the county government. Wow, that's amazing. I know probably the residents react very actively.
Yeah.
They love it, right?
People love it. In fact, always starting in the fall, people will ask me, "We're going to do the concerts again? We're going to do the concerts again?" Yes.
I cannot wait.
Will do the
so
concerts.
last time I attended that, so packed, and the community, they get together, especially kids, they just love it. You know, kids, they start to get a group and then do the performance. They really enjoy it.
Well, and that's the beauty of the international concerts at Ossian Hall, is that it gives the children an opportunity to perform. It also gives children an opportunity to, enjoy theater-style entertainment. But it gives the kids another opportunity to perform out in the open and in their costumes and do their dancing, and it's really terrific.
Yeah, they get their heritage culture
Absolutely.
passed along to next generation. I think it's very important.
And that is one of the things we see in the immigrant community. People really want to succeed in their new home, but they don't want to lose their legacy, their culture, their language. And so a lot of the things that we do are trying to provide space for instance, the Sudanese have a Saturday school that they use some of our public space, and they teach the children the language and also the culture, because they don't want to lose that.
Yeah.
And they're afraid that if they don't have this special Saturday school, the children will lose their Sudanese culture.
Oh wow, that's amazing. They allowed to use public areas.
Yes, we work out arrangements, and it's not just the Sudanese. We have
It's
Vietnamese,
only in the
we have
Mason
other-
district
Well,
or Fairfax County. I'm curious.
I can't tell you that, because I only know what I do in Mason District to help this out. But I suspect that there are other locations in Fairfax County where people are doing the same thing. Okay. It takes organization by the private sector, by the volunteers, but they figure out what kind of a program they want to do, and then they try and find space for it, and sometimes we're able to provide them space in our public facilities.
So I'm going to move into the Mason district next year. Okay. Public health issue also are concerned by residents. What is new about that kind of public service you have done?
One of the things that I think has happened, certainly since 9/11, and probably especially since the anthrax scares shortly thereafter, was that we had a whole new respect and understanding of our health department, of our public health department, and how they really are investigators who track down disease. And we have a very robust health department. And we're very focused also on wellness in Fairfax County, but that's not necessarily just the health department's doing. That is everybody's doing. But the health department now here in Fairfax County has to be available to respond to even things like Ebola. If someone comes into Dulles Airport and they're showing symptoms, it's the Fairfax County Health Department that responds to check that out. And then they are responsible for keeping in contact with that potential patient just to track them for those 21 days. Tuberculosis is another issue in our community that our health department works on all the time. We'll have tuberculosis scares, measles recently in one of our schools. And so this is what the health department does. They're looking for that communicable disease. They're tracking down people who may have been exposed, but they're also doing an education of the whole community at the same time. So it's really important what our health department does. And they're sort of been unseen, sort of hidden, but not anymore. They are out there. And in fact, a former intern in my office, when she was in high school, got so interested in public health that she now has her doctorate in public health, just graduated in public health, and I'm hoping she comes back to Fairfax County because she's from the diverse community. She's a brilliant woman, lovely girl, and actually lovely woman, and has a brilliant future. And she grew up here in Fairfax County. So public health is so important to our overall community health, because we need to stamp out these communicable diseases that may be coming from overseas, where the vaccinations and immunizations are not as readily available as they are here. That's the other piece that I think our health department really does in education of the community, is the importance of immunization. You need to have those immunizations when you're a child, a baby. That's the way I grew up. That's the way a lot of people grew up. We are so fortunate we don't have these diseases anymore. But I remember when children did contract polio. I remember when measles and mumps were rampant. We don't have that problem anymore because children are getting immunized. Adults are now getting their shots also, and their boosters, and that's really important. World Police and Fire Games is coming. They start on June 26th through July 5th here in Fairfax County. This is a very big deal. World Police and Fire Games is the largest gathering of athletes in the world outside of the Summer Olympics.
Wow.
So it is huge. It's held every 2 years somewhere around the world. We've been working on bringing it to Fairfax for probably 8-10 years or more. We finally got it.
Yeah.
It's a very big deal. Lots of opportunities for volunteers. They need a lot of volunteers to help all these 12,000 athletes and 30,000 people coming from family members and so forth. It's athletes from public safety agencies all over the world, and all of the venues, which will be published a little bit later, all of the venues will be free. Some of them will require tickets because there's a limited number of seating, but you won't have to pay, you just have to pick up the ticket. But everything will be free to the public to see, and I think it's going to be exciting.
Wow, people love the sports. Hope residents will enjoy it.
Yes.
Thank you for coming
Thank
today,
you so
join
much.
us.
Thank you.
Then we have wonderful time. Thank you for watching. We will see you next time. Bye-bye.